The right of the people to keep and wear orange shall not be infringed. Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe. Give us a like on Facebook at Cuse Militia Podcast and follow on Twitter at Cuse Militia.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it with your friends and family. Joe, how you feeling today, brother?
Oh, good, Sean, good. I am thrilled, dude. Pumped. Football's right here, man. I mean, college, pro, fantasy football, gambling, if you're into that, you know.
Gambling? Well, it's funny you mentioned gambling, Joe. Now, maybe people ask you for your advice on, what games to pick, who to bet on this week. I know if they ask me, I either say, I don't know, or go to Joe. But if you think you know who to bet on this week, you got to check out MyBookie. Remember, who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. That is why I always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, guys, they're the best bet this season. They've been in business for years. They have great reviews online, and their mobile site is easy to use. I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's been good to me. That's why I'm urging you to make your way to MyBookie. You win, they pay. They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet on the over-under on how many fantasy points a player will score each game. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code CUSE to activate your offer. Go visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie. And don't forget to use the promo code CUSE, C-U-S-E. And that will get you your dollar for dollar up to $1,000 in free play. So you throw in $50, they put in another $50, you have $100 to play with right off the bat.
Pretty intriguing.
You win, you get paid. MyBookie. All right. So, we had a poll, but first the reviews. We are going to give away. I sent out some koozies the other day, yesterday, today. We got some more going out. We will do that at the end. The iTunes reviews are extremely important to basically getting recognized on iTunes, and it also. People check them out, man. People check them out when they're looking for a podcast. They check out the reviews, and it may be the difference between someone subscribing or not. So
that's what I do.
Yeah, Exactly. You check out the reviews. So as many of those as we can get, we'd really appreciate it. It only takes a second to do that.
Please.
So we put out a poll. I guess it was earlier this week, right? Or was it the end of last week?
No, I think it was earlier this week.
Okay. Last week. It's only Tuesday. It's at all the polls will be at SYRBALL at Syrball. And the question was, which upset for this Orange football season are you willing to go on record predicting? We picked 4 teams. We picked at Clemson, Notre Dame, which is a neutral game, versus Florida State at home, or at Boston College. So this poll was, I think it was level-headed. I mean, the outcome was level-headed, and I think that everybody, they were safe with it. They wanted. That's why I put in there, go on record. But
what ended up being the final numbers?
Let's see. The least likely at 14% out of 202 votes was Clemson. 14%. Of
course.
Okay, and I kind of agree with that, right? Well,
yes. I thought it would have been lower.
I know, but here's the shocker. The second lowest percentage at 20% was at Boston College. So
yeah. I'll tell you what, that's not really a shocker to me, based upon how they finished last year and some of the guys they got coming back.
Yeah, well,
I think that's going to be a tough game for us.
Yeah, if you looked at Syracuse.com, they did their power rankings for the ACC, and I think they placed them in 4th. So, so the winner at 36% was versus Florida State in the Dome.
Yep.
So
that's what I went for.
Yeah, that's what I went for, and Notre Dame came in second with 30. So
Yeah, that seems like about right. That's kind of what I figured. I think Clemson should have been a little bit lower, but yeah.
I think so too. But people are on, maybe some of them are still high off of last year. But polls will be coming out every week, especially now since games are coming up. The other thing to look out for on Twitter and Facebook is the fan feedback. We always do a fan feedback segment. We really started doing it last basketball season, and we use your comments and the things you say on Twitter and Facebook, and we bring them into the show. So be on the lookout for that on Twitter at SYRBall and at Cuse Militia, and also at Cuse Militia Podcast on Facebook. So the depth chart came out, I guess it was, yesterday?
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah. And, Babers kind of, tongue-in-cheek with when they're asking him who the starting quarterback's going to be. I think we all knew. But, he put his poker face on. So, just a question for you, Joe. Was there, I read through it, I don't know. Is there anything that raised an eyebrow with you or stuck out to you that you weren't expecting?
Not really that I wasn't expecting, especially after taking a good look at Western Michigan today. Just that I know that they've talked over the spring about going to a 4-2-5, and I know we talked about it in another podcast, but looking at the way that Western Michigan moves and Lester's offense and everything, they've decided to go with a 4-3, at least start off with it against Western Michigan this Friday night. So they stuck Andrew Armstrong in there as the third linebacker with Ryan Guthrie and Keelan Whitner. But looking at it, I don't see anything that really surprised me. Everything that we kind of thought that was going to happen happened. I think there's going to be a lot of depth and a lot of people subbing in and giving people rest. So I'm just glad that Babers finally came out and said that Dungy was the starter.
Yeah,
I know he was having a little bit of fun with the media with that, and
yeah.
And the only other
you weren't nervous about that,
though,
really, were you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But still, it's just, then why do
mind
that?
Games, yeah.
So,
exactly.
But the only other probably notable thing would be that Cody Conway is staying over at the left tackle, and Coda Martin will be over at the right tackle. So they finally figured out which positions those two are going to take to finish up the offensive line. So other than that, really no surprises, but we're deeper. There will be more subs, and I can't wait to see what this defense has got.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about the defense. I'm actually excited about.
I'm excited about both. I'm excited to see the receivers and who steps up, and obviously the.
That's what I'm keeping my eye on.
But after seeing Cordy's tweet, I really want to see those young defensive backs. I guess Trill Williams is really good, and Andre Sisco did end up being the free safety starter. So there's some guys out there. There's going to be some new faces, especially at linebacker, and then at the receiver as well. So like you said, just the whole team. They've been talking about how good the offensive line is. I kind of want to see how the offensive line is going to go. So
it's a lot different.
I'm just excited, man. It's here,
Yeah, we got we're starting over with a healthy Dungy. We got a really young defense, and the offensive line's all switched around. That Coda Martin that's Babers' son-in-law, and that's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, it's exciting, man. And it's always exciting the beginning of the year. It's always exciting. So. I just hope they impress. I got good feelings about it, and I don't usually get good feelings about Syracuse football. Like, I'm not always that high on them. So, all right. Friday, August 31st. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts of this. At 6 o'clock, Waldo Stadium, Kalamazoo, Michigan. The game is on CBS Sports Network. Western Michigan quarterback Joe Wasink. He missed some of last season, 2017, with a broken collarbone, but he is getting all of his top receivers back from last year, and they have the ability to spread the field. Their defense has a decent pass rush with maybe a questionable SU line. Add in the fact that this is their season home opener, in Western Michigan, and top it all off with that this team is probably one of the favorites for the MAC title this year. So, Joe, can Dungey, Ravion Pierce, Devin Butler, Strickland, Mo Neal, can they click enough early in this season to come out of Kalamazoo with a W?
Yeah, I think so. They should be able to.
All right, that's it. Well,
that's it. Done.
We'll talk to you
Absolutely.
after the game.
Done.
No, go ahead.
Western Michigan it's going to be tough because we are going to Western Michigan for the opener, and we are playing against another former coach, Tim Lester. But this is a little bit different than Schaefer at Middle Tennessee State last year. And Lester's the second year. He was 6-6 last year and 4-4 in the MAC. And this year they're actually preseason picked to finish third in the MAC West behind Northern Illinois and Toledo. So they had 10 seniors graduate, but they had 21 players last year suffered season-ending injuries. So, and they are only 2 years removed from a MAC championship and a Cotton Bowl appearance with their former coach PJ Fleck. So, I looked at this stuff today, and you mentioned John Wasink. He's a junior, and like you said, he got hurt, broke his collarbone last year. But when he got hurt, he was leading the MAC in the completion percentage. They also get back two running backs. Levante Belmy averaged almost 8 yards per carry, and he was out with an ankle injury last year that finished his season. And I guess this spring he's reportedly ran a 4.32 40. So they have a guy that's got some speed. Another running back, Jamari Bogan, who's their kind of go-to guy. He had 112 carries for 589 yards before he broke his foot last year. They got guys. You talked about the receivers. They're also bringing in a transfer that sat out last year from Michigan, 6'4", tall guy. They're returning Dwayne Eskridge, who's also around the 4.44, sub 40. Keyshawn Watson. Their offense looks to be pretty dynamic as far as having some experienced playmakers back. And they also have an offensive line that's returning an all-MAC first-team center. So you're talking about the best center in the MAC last year. He's a senior this year. A junior guard who was the second-team MAC player last year. And they're also bringing in, they're not bringing in, but they have a redshirt senior returning. So he's had 5 years under his belt. So they look to have kind of a stud offensive line, and they got the guys behind him. So that now you see why Babers decided to go 4-3. So when you really look at this offense, when I looked at it and I saw some of the stuff, they got some hungry guys their seasons got cut short by injury last year, which you can't say that. I mean, happens in every team. Eric Dungey, and we've had some guys too, but their offense looks like. I mean, that's why I said earlier that I kind of can't wait to see this defense, because this defense is going to get challenged. This is not going to be the worst offense this defense sees this year by far. So
right, you got a lot of older guys coming back that have played together already against a defense that's kind of light on its feet.
Right.
So that's going to be the test of the game. Would you agree that
yes,
our defense versus their offense is going to be the major test of the game?
I think so. I think it depends on how the rest of their offensive line kind of fills out, because we do have a good defensive line. So if their offensive line can handle our defensive line, then I do think that we're going to have some issues. And they do have some speedsters, a decent tall guy that was like a Michigan transfer, so that he was talented. So that's definitely one of those things where that's going to be one of the main matchups, because looking at their defense, I'm not so sold that they're going to be able to stop our offense. So it's kind of looking like the same kind of situation, but opposite when you look at it.
Yeah, I think. Don't you? I think our offense is. When Eric Dungey is healthy, he's throwing for over 300 yards. He's running. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, just to give you a little background of their defense, because you just see everyone they're returning as far as their offense. When I looked into their defense, I looked at the defensive line. They lost a lot of guys. They lost the defensive line. They do not have one 300-pounder on their team. I'm not saying that's the most important, but their heaviest D tackle is 290, which I sit here and talk about it lightly. But we got a couple guys that are bigger than that. So And you know that our offensive line has been touted as being pretty strong and pretty experienced. So I'm hoping that our offensive line is going to be able to handle that kind of no problem. This team also, just like us, lost all 3 of their linebacker starters last year. They do have a transfer from Rutgers that sat out last year, Najee Clayton, who's going to be a starter, and he's going to be one of their main guys. But, that's a linebacking core that's starting all over. And their defensive backs, they lost their top 2 cornerbacks. They both got drafted. And right now, actually, when I looked at their depth chart, they're too deep for their cornerbacks. The tallest corner they had was 5'11". And right now, their number 1 corner is Juwan Dowles, who was a graduate transfer from Syracuse. So he transferred from us because he wasn't really going to see the playing time. And he was a graduate, so he didn't have to sit out, and went to Western Michigan, and now he's their best corner. So they do have a junior safety, Justin Trinquill, who's got some speed, and he's another guy that kind of leads. It's probably going to be him and that Najee Clayton linebacker, who's probably the 2 guys that you got to look out most. But when I look at their defense, man, I look at their defense as kind of, we're more complete of a defense than them. So look, just breaking it down, I just think that we're just going to have an easier time moving the ball than they are against us. But that's why they play the game. There's turnovers, there's field possession. Weird things happen. Football's oblong, so it bounces weird ways. So, and it's only a 6-point spread. So,
well, it's actually the spread, according to my bookie, right now is actually moved down to 5.5.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it moves as people
start taking bets on it. Yeah. So with that said, Joe, I think as long as we have my bookie on board, I think we should do our due diligence for my bookie and have the expert gambler on the show.
Oh, jeez.
Give his prediction on the over under here at 5.5.
Well, it's not the over under; it's just the line. But I don't even know what the over under. What's the over under? 65.
I'm sorry. 65.5.
No, okay. Oh, like I said, I think that Syracuse is going to win. I think that it is going to be one of those things where it's going to be tough for us to stop them. But I think the one main thing that's going to make me definitely, now that it moved down to 5.5, so Syracuse wins by 6 and it covers. I'm going to take Syracuse, and I know people are going to think it's a homer pick, but the one thing also that kind of gets me is that I saw was Western Michigan. They play at Michigan next week, and that's one of those in-state rivals. So you never really know if that's gonna, if maybe some teams are looking ahead. And I did check out some of the forums and some comments and stuff, and there's been a lot of chatter on Western Michigan fans that they're like they already think that they beat Syracuse. Like, they're not even worried about them. They're worried about like week 2 against Michigan. That's what's kind of funny. Well, there was even a comment that said something about first time in a couple years we get a Power 5 team, and it's got to be sorry Syracuse or something like that. And I was like, whoa. So I saw that, and some teams can get overlooked. And again, Syracuse isn't really the biggest name out there in college football, so that's why I'm going to take Syracuse minus 5.5 to beat them.
All right. All right. Well, there's Joe's My Bookie pick. Remember, join My Bookie now, and they'll match your deposit. $1 for $1. Use promo code Cuse to activate the offer. Visit My Bookie online today. That's MYBOOKIE, and don't forget to use the promo code Cuse for up to $1,000 match in free play. You play, you win, you get paid. All right. Joe, so
Hey, don't get it twisted, by the way. I'm not telling you what to do. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we're not trying to turn anybody into. We're not trying to break homes either, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah.
But hey, you mentioned how even some teams are there's reverb out there about kind of overlooking Syracuse, and it just reminded me. I just pulled it up, the ACC power rankings. I think I mentioned Boston College
earlier. Yep.
Yeah, they're fourth. So I'm just going to run through these like super quick. Of course, we got Clemson, and then we got Miami, and those are easy, right? I think everything else is kind of murky after this. And you got Florida State, okay, Boston College at 4th, Duke 5th.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this is Syracuse.com, Chris Carlson, by the way. Yeah,
Like he picked him?
Yeah, he's got Duke in 5th in the power rankings, preseason power rankings.
Basketball, Chris.
I know. NC State in 6th. Virginia Tech in 7th. We're still not to Syracuse yet. Wake Forest in 8th. Louisville in 9th. Georgia Tech in 10th. And then 11th we get to Syracuse. 12th Pitt. And then 13th Notre Dame. 14th Virginia. So, Syracuse isn't getting any love from the media. They can't even get love from local media. So it would be a huge finger in the eye to a lot of these people to come out here and play a full 60 minutes this Friday night away from the Dome against a team that's kind of sneaky good, and it'd probably be a hard-fought game. And if they can pull that out, I think it says something. If they lose, then we're it doesn't help.
You have to look at it as we've been battling each other. It's been a competitive camp. These guys are a lot stronger than what they were, obviously, 2 years ago, even last year. And they're ready to beat up on somebody else. And unlike Western Michigan, who's got to go to Michigan next week, we got a home game against Wagner. So, yeah. I mean, not to say I hate to overlook any game, but, realistically, as Syracuse, you have to look back at last year and say, okay, that Scott Schaefer mess and all this emotion stuff, we're not going to let that happen again. We're playing against old coaches. Well, whatever. We got to start the season off strong because they talk about bowl game, this and that. This is a huge start. A huge start. I mean, you want to be able to come off and no matter do whatever you have to take, because there's people that go out there and put it all on the line. And if you got to sit out against Wagner, then I think our young depth could probably pull that off. So that's the mentality. That's the mentality. You'd have to go out and you want to do that every game, but it's human nature to overlook people. And if you're Syracuse, you almost got to look like, go in, knock this out, and then come back home and, take it easy Wagner a little bit, but still, get it done and go get to 2-0. You just got to get to 2-0 by all means necessary.
Oh, I think so. I think that's You start strong and you get that momentum and you gain that confidence, and then you just roll with it, man. You roll with it. I think they can do it, but I think this is a really important game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? In Western Michigan, people are like, even when I first heard it, to be honest with you, before I really did some research on it, you had mentioned something to me like, I don't know, man, don't overlook them. But once I just started doing my research, and you're right. It's just you can't be.
So, like I said, they're 2 years removed from a MAC championship and a Cotton Bowl appearance. They were a very good team. PJ Fleck went ahead and I think he got hired by Texas, I want to say. I don't even know. But, Tim Lester's come in, and you got to think that Babers' message this whole week has been, we're not going to get Scott Schaefer by Tim Lester. You know what I mean? Just by that whole Middle Tennessee State thing last year. I feel like that's almost a chip on your shoulder. There's a lot of chips on people's shoulders. This is Dungy's last year, but also
he's the one with the biggest chip. He went out last year too.
Yeah, and he loves Tim. Tim Lester, they recruited him. That's his boy. But at the end of the day, he's got to go in there and tear him apart, and then he can go say hi after.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the bottom line. You got to do it. You can't fault. You can't. I went back and watched that Middle Tennessee State game a couple different times after it actually originally aired, and there's no reason why we should have lost that game other than just bonehead, stupid stuff. So
yeah, it was.
And this kind of is that thing, because as much as Western Michigan probably does have some good talent, and they definitely do on the offensive end, from what it looks like, you got a bunch of guys that were injured, and then all of them might not have played with each other. And you have a defense that's completely rebuilding. So they look like they're in worse shape than us. There's a reason why I think we opened up at a 6.5, maybe 7. We've been a touchdown favorite pretty much from the go. So, and again, that's on the road, and we usually don't get too much respect. So I think we'll be okay as long as we don't make too many mistakes, man. And obviously you can say that to probably every single game, but I think we're the better team.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope so. I think we're the better team too. It's
and let's get this win and start the football season off right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at a wedding. I don't want to be in a crappy mood. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I know. It'd be it'd be a real finger in the eye after all this hype that you and I mean, I don't know what everybody else goes through, but we've been waiting for this for a while. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's it to wrap it up. You're sticking with your line pick.
Syracuse -5.5. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Time to pick a review. Listen, I am going to pick. I don't know who this is. But his oh crap, hold on. I'm going to do two because one of these guys says he hates us, but he gave us 5 stars. So, I hate both of you. I hate both of you. Must listen for all Cuse fans. Boeheim did nothing wrong. I hate you. I hate both of you. Email cusemilitia@gmail.com and give me your address, and we'll send out a couple canned koozies to you. D Snake, one more. D Snake, subscribe. Don't miss an episode. D Snake, cusemilitia@gmail.com. Email us, and we'll get you out your canned koozies, and we appreciate it. Remember, if you give a 5-star review and a 5-star rating and a quick review, you too could, who knows, maybe you got some canned koozies coming to your house. Also,
even me?
Oh, don't even get me started on you. Don't even get me started on you, because I have your address somewhere, but all I said was, hey, shoot me your address when you get a chance. That was last Thursday? Friday? I don't know. You still haven't shot me your address, and I went and sent out those canned koozies.
I don't know. I don't want you to know where I live. And I don't need no stinking koozies.
It has your name on them.
Save them for the fans.
It has your name on them, though. It does.
Oh,
but anyway,
could be anybody.
Anyway, you didn't respond anyway, and I brought them all with me. I brought them all with me to the post office, and I left dejected with another bag full of canned koozies I didn't get to send out. So, also be on the lookout for the polls. Joe and I will come up with a poll probably.
Mañana.
Yeah, we'll do it before the game, and then the fan feedback immediately after the game. Head to Facebook, head to @SYRBall, head to @Cuse Militia, and we will have the fan feedback section where you can comment, and we'll go over that in the next show. So that's it. That's all I got. Joe, anything else?
Nope. I'm good, buddy. Let's go Cuse.
All right, go Cuse. We need this big time, and we'll be back. More Cuse Militia podcast is inevitable. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
This has been the Cuse Militia podcast with Sean and Joe. Be heard. Contact us on Facebook at Cuse Militia Podcast and tweet at us using #CuseMilitia.